diverse team of experts and industry professionals. In a world of complexity and opportunities, organizations are trying to make new connections and find new ways of innovating. We collaborate with our clients to understand them and help solving their complex industry issues, to optimize their solutions so they can stand out and realize long-lasting results. We offer our clients financial services, HR and business solutions, accounting services, tax and audit, among others. To know more about what Berkeley Middle East can offer you, please log to www.berkeleyme.com.
What a lovely introduction of Berkeley Consultants. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, and I wish you a great time ahead. We are together today for a very interesting discussion that is about establishment of a family office, artworks, and the most important part, which I always encounter the questions from my professional colleagues, audience, and the people who know me is about how to raise money from the family offices. It is likely that I'm going to cover the family offices across the globe. So wherever you are, if you're in UK, you are in US, or you are in Middle East, it's all equally beneficial for us to discuss all the technical details of family offices. Before I start, it's really important that we should discuss about those people whom we lost in COVID-19. It's a very stressful year and time. Every day we see someone is dying and someone is extremely sick, someone is recovering. So I just want to console those people who lost their loved ones. My all condolence and wishes are with them. And I hope that this year would be full of blessings, and we will be able to recover from the effects of COVID-19. Those who are sick in the hospitals, in the home, I wish them a speedy recovery, and I pray to God that they should get well soon. With this, I am going to start our discussion for the day, and the topic is understand the royal family or a family office and how to raise the funds. Before I start, I want to thanks few people who make this possible for me to talk to you. First of all, the Berkeleyme Investor Club. This is an amazing club doing a great job in Middle East, in Britain, having a lot of activities. I can see they are doing a great job in terms of bridging investors with the corporates and SMEs and individuals for looking for funds. So thank you, Investor Club, for organizing this event in such a short time. And also I want to thank Berkeleyme Consultants for bringing this topic, which is really, really unique. And but it is rightly there is a lot of interest. And being myself as an advisor, I feel that people have no idea about how the family offices works, what are actually family offices, what are their functions, how many employees they have, what is their ideology of investment, um, and of course, we need to discuss very important in the last is how to contact them, what they like, what they want to hear from you, where if you click, the money will be in your pocket. So let's start our formal discussion. And as I understood, Berkeleyme consultants, they are into various consultancy, which covers a huge range, unconventional services in terms of business continuity management, crisis management, in terms of private equity, corporate finance, active management, advisory services, in terms of human resources, they are extremely good. And in terms of advising you for a financial planning is extremely that they are known for. And of course, the basic business needs in terms of VAT, in terms of accounting, in terms of taxation, in terms of loaning requirements, and in terms of audit, these whole portfolios falls in the Berkeleyme consultants portfolios. And I'm extremely satisfied as a user also. They are really good. And they create a great value in terms of the world. Of course, it's an American group, so they try to translate the business processes into an American style. This is extremely encouraging and a value addition for the rest of the world. Here I want to definitely thanks, a special thanks to His Excellency Sheikh Khalifa Al-Hamid for being connected with me since long. And previously I was connected with His Excellency Jisar Al-Jisar, and such a huge portfolios they have, such great personalities. I am lucky to see them from very close and mentoring the family members and imparting my knowledge. So I really feel that living with them, observing them, working together, I really learn a lot. And it's a time to, of course, share my experiences and observations with the rest of the world. In terms of family offices, working styles, how they think, what they want to see in you when you're approaching them for your projects and you're looking for some money as well. So I will start my discussion with, of course, the concept of the history of the family offices. The family offices concept is not new. Maybe it is new to you, but actually it is an old concept starting from 1600 in Britain. If you see, there was a concept of stewardship. So that has been translated next into 1938. The family, JP Morgan, which is now a big name. So JP Morgan founded the House of Morgans in that time, and to manage the family assets. And until then they become really huge. And in 1882, of course, if you see the Rockefellers, they found their own family offices. So if you see the history of the family offices in Europe, in UK, in United States, is quite old. And of course, there is a lot of case study involved. There is a lot of knowledge available about family offices globally. So we can categorize family offices in a different ways. One is, you can say, a single family office. shortly called as SFO. This is the most common, mostly a single family offices we see, but of course there are multi-family offices as well. What's the difference is that in single family, of course, it's a single family who is having this office and they are managing their assets from different ways. While in multi family offices, they are, of course, there are a couple of families, they are working under an umbrella of someone who is actually driving the force. So it's like a family atmosphere. Some countries still there is a traditional concept of family exists, so they combine their assets into a multi-family office. And of course, there are embedded offices. These are less informal. I mean, you will not find them more in nowadays. But I mean, I will keep my focus on single family or multi-family as the discussion will continue, of course. So you should be knowing that that there are around 12,000 to 15,000 family offices. And the good thing is that I have all the list, contact emails, and the names of them, which is very useful sometimes for day-to-day working. So we have family offices across the globe, like in Asia, in Europe, in UK, in United States, in North America. There are a variety of rich people, of course, who is spread across the globe. And we can see that there are around 1,500 billionaires exist in this world, which I mean, when we say 1,500 billionaires means that these are those people which is recorded and you can say the documented wealth is 1,500. But of course, we know that in developing countries there are a lot of rich people which wealth is somewhere in the basement or in some hidden area places out of banking channels, and they are quite a lot number of people who are out of documented billionaires. So I guess that formally 1,500 and informally there might be more 2,000, 3,000 people who will be surely billionaire, but they are out of the documented evidences. Generally in Europe, how we see a family office is at least they have an asset of $200 million. But of course, in some countries, we can go as low as $10 million as well to make them registered as a family offices. It depends like which area you work in and what is your preference area to make your family office. Now we are going to discuss the very important part of a family office. Like if you are in a stage where you are going to make a family office, this office needs some consideration, some questions. It asks some questions from you that you need to think about it. First of all, you need to think about life and legacy. This is very, very important. We saw a lot of time that suddenly a rich man died and he left like 30, 40 relatives behind, and suddenly they start fighting and all the money comes, businesses start going downwards because the leadership at the top does not exist anymore, and the pillars are fighting to each other, so empire is in danger. So I mean, last 10 years I observed that risk management, anticipation about future, and thinking ahead has become really, really important. That's why we make budgets. We think about strategic plans, 5 year, 10 year down the road. So this is really important that any rich person should prepare about his legacy, how many kids they have, what is the family size, like Some billionaires have 2 kids, 3 kids. So obviously, these billion of dollars is going to split in them. But generally, like maybe kids has an age gap. So the biggest son, when he was young, he joined with the dad. So he covers 90% of the business. But the smaller kids, they were in fun. They were going here and there. They didn't put themselves in business. So as immediately dad died, so they want their own share, but 90% share is with the big brother. So such kind of issues can come to anyone when you are having a wealth and you are really rich. It's not about the billion. Even if you are a millionaire, you have some money. Even I say sometimes, if you are a middle class person, you just have your home or a car or a scooter or whatever you left for your 2 or 3 kids. It's better that you should have a will and you divide it according to whatever you think is appropriate, because if you don't do that, it has a lot of consequences. Your own blood will start fighting and things will get messed up. And this money that you have will become a problem for your generation. So, in order to have a smooth transition of your money, of course, today we will discuss the succession planning as well. That we need to plan in a good time, in a good health. Today I need to plan that my next generation, when I will leave the world, where they stand, what they will do, what business will go to this one and that one, what is their contribution, what values I'm gonna bring in them. Um, this is really, really important. So my first point is about life and legacy. So you need to think about your succession plan, your well-being, your family, human capital. Sometimes we have our in-house good kids, educated, highly intelligent, so they can become a CEO, they can become CFO, they can evaluate a portfolio, they can expand. This is purely a thing that is based on a luck, because if you have better kids, they are intelligent. So it is unlikely that your empire will be in the succession will grow and it will not fall. So that is really important. So sometimes you need to know that what you are preparing for your kids and what they're planning for. So it's actually a long process. It's not about 1 day or 1 year. You have to observe your kids and you have to see that what are their interests, how they will move into. These things are really, really important. And of course, you need to define your purpose, like why, what you want to do. Like, do you need a cohesion? Are you thinking about community, or you're thinking about wealth? What are your social responsibilities? These are really, really important, because nowadays in tax economy, this is really important. That you should have charities, which will be called as a bigger CSR, corporate social responsibility. Corporate social responsibility includes that how you are giving a value to your community, to the people at large. So again, it's very important that some people, if you know that the rich people like Bill Gates, for example, he's working on polio, he's working on vaccinations as a corporate social responsibility. And there are other people also, um, like who are working on, some are working on cancers, they are working on orphanage, they are working on social issues. So you need to define your interest. But in tax-based economy, this is really a sort of mandatory stuff, because you have some kind of tax benefits in terms of doing your charity and your social. And other than the tax benefit, as I told you, of course, you need to know that how people are going to see you after some time. Once you're a rich person, you cannot close the door and say, I can't help you. No, this is not possible, because people know that you have a documented richness, and being part of it, when the people are in trouble, they have some issues, you are the one who has capability to do so. It's really, really connected with your wealth, that you have a vision about your social causes, your social responsibilities as well. Currently, we saw that the innovation, creativity, and growth has been penetrated in family offices. So lastly, I was sitting with a few individuals who are looking to family offices in the UK. So most of them were actually saying that we are investing in technology, tech-based companies. So of course, some invest in emanation, some invest in drone technology, some in healthcare, and some in technologies that are the growing sector. Of course, traditional sectors of retail, land, real estates, these are always exist. And we need to, of course, make a family strategy. And so all these considerations are prerequisites in when we sit with someone who is actually running a family office or who is intended to make a family office. So we all check out in a plan and a strategy. We try to clarify these things before we move ahead. Excuse me. So moving forward, we have to see that what is our philanthropy planning. I'm continuing my discussions for the CSR responsibilities. So we are looking for strategic directions, that where they will fall in terms of the philanthropic activities, then how we align their objectives, evaluate impact of established portfolios, and what is the impact like in terms of high, low, medium of choosing this strategy for the philanthropics. And of course, creating a value is a very complex procedure. I mean, you have a lot of things to do in a society when you have money, and choosing, setting up, balancing your document work, claiming your tax benefits, and a lot of other things comes in this considerations of philanthropic plannings. Now, if you see a family office almost, I mean, we can say that works like an investment powerhouse. As bigger the families, as bigger the monies, they are more, they are like a turbine and power engines who can run the businesses, projects, infrastructure projects, mining, gold, diamonds, I mean, anything you think like airports, airlines, these all can be funded from the family offices very easily, because the flow of money is really good in some of the family offices, and they have regular money as well. So when we see the family office scope, we see that there are a lot of services, a lot of things they do, and where professionals can involve and they can contribute to it. Of course, starting with financial planning. Financial planning is very, very important, that how to make a portfolio. So when I draw myself a portfolio, suppose if I am looking to 2 billion, 3 billion of portfolio. So what I do is I define the risk and returns, and then the caps, the upper and lower caps, that which industry I can invest up to 5%, 10%, somewhere I can go up to 20%. And this is very evident that every time business opportunity is different. It's not that today, if I'm telling that this business is very good, other than the traditional businesses like agriculture, retail, or infrastructure, I'm talking about the new things like any technology. For example, invest in vaccinations, invest in the R&D related to health, robotic technology. These are like innovative products. So maybe it's an opportunity exists today, but it is not available tomorrow. So it depends, of course, the risk appetite, ability, and then we make a portfolio, upper and lower percentages. So I divide the things, like if it is, say, 0 to 100% is my portfolio, so 5% for this, 10% for that. And sometimes we need to excuse a very nice project because we have already invested 10% of the wealth. So any similar new project cannot be taken. That's maybe, I mean, the project looks good. It has high NPV, IRR. It has a very good weighted average cost of capital, and ROIs are really good. But I mean, in order to not violate our portfolio strategies, of course, we cannot sometimes. So financial planning is really important. Strategy is really important. And bringing governance in the family office is really, really important, right? You have to define a proper organizational structure that this is a CEO, this is CIO, Chief Investment Officer, this is a CFO, Chief Financial Officer, Chief Communication Officers. And then, of course, you need different people. So it depends, like some family offices are smaller size, some are bigger size. So if you're a bigger size family office, you need different things. And if you are, you can say as smaller, bigger, medium, according to that, you need to decide that what is the operational needs that you have. But basic structure, as I told you, there should be a chief executive officer, there should be a chief investment officer, there should be a chief financial officer, and of course, in tax regulatory countries, you need a chief compliance officer as well. Money laundering is becoming really stringent and important, so you need some compliances on that as well. So it's really interesting, like professionals who are, say, chartered accountants, they are financial analysts, they are lawyers, they are accountants. These are all have a lot of value to these family offices and investment powerhouses because, I mean, technically, these knowledges always work for the people. So we can work out, say, for example, succession planning, as I already explained you, is really important. In good times, we have to think about the bad times. This is actually was not there maybe 10, 15 years. We never talk about succession planning. So we never talk about risk management. But I think the most important nowadays is the strategy, succession, risk management, anticipating your future through budgeting. I mean, if you are a good management accordingly, you can do all these things. So you will never have surprises for your entities and for your shareholders. You will be really successful in making all these organizations really successful. And I mean, you must be really, interested to know that how a family office looks like. So on your screen, you can see an organizational structure. And this structure, I already explained you that we should have C levels, then we have middle management, and then, of course, lower management, also part of our organization structures. Moving forward to our family office cost. So family office cost is like any organization have a cost. They have minimum people depending on their size, how small and big they are. So same way we have the family offices, you can say 39% cost is for external investment fees they are paying if they are mainly focusing on external advisors. External professionals fee 25%, office operations are 27% and 9%, and 27% are the office staff composition. So this is just a overview for 12 people office, and then of course on the opposite side we have 3 people offices as well. So it depends like what is the size. I think here it's more clear that if you are making a budget for a family office, so we can classify them into different categories like small, medium, large, and very large. So very large will be defined as who has 14 million minimum worth, like as a cost, like as a cost to your operations, maybe 14 million a year. I'm talking. It includes a lot of expenses, of course, as I told you, as a breakup. So, but small offices, medium, large. I mean, minimum we are talking about 1.5 million, and max it will go to the 20 million. That's what for a good size family house, family offices. Moving forward, when you start your family office assessment, where they stand, where they need to go as a strategic and financial planning, or if it is a new office, we want to make our office because it's a very growing trend. I'm telling you, like 15,000 already, and every year because the kids are growing. For rich people, kids want to be self-employed, so they want to open their own offices so they can take their own decisions. I mean, after a certain age, I mean, as we know that we even, including myself, I would like to take. I mean, when I was small, I always take the advices of my parents. But as we grow, like we also want to take some decisions so we can learn. I mean, it can be right and wrong decisions, but until I mean, we will not take the decisions how things will move, how we will learn. So it's very natural that our next generation want to have their own offices and they want to grow. For sure, they should take this risk, and maybe they bring something good in the of course in the umbrella of their family offices that they have. So the very important document is the business plan. Business plan is really important. The first question in the business plan you need to discuss is that what is the jurisdiction, like where you want to be base yourself. You want to be in Monaco, you want to be in New York, you want to be in London, you want to be in Switzerland. And you know, Switzerland is the house of family offices. You want to be in Dubai, you want to be in Saudi Arabia, you want to be in Bahrain, or you want to be in China, you want to be in India. Like it depends where is your money, what is your base, where you feel things are more easier for you, more safer. Of course, rich people want to have safety in their money. That's why a lot of people invest in London because they believe that London is a safe place and their rivals groups cannot hijack this money from them. And maybe they are not feeling safe in their own countries. That's why we have financial markets and financial intermediaries all the globe. Then we have structures and what structure you want. You want a single family office or a multi-family office. Some countries has a lot of variety. Like for example, UK, if you want to make a family office, you can make as a limited liability. I mean, guarantees, and of course, it will be regulated under the Financial Conduct Authority. And say in Dubai, you can register in the IFC, the Dubai International Financial Center. I guess like if you have 10 million of assets, so you can approach to make your own family office in the AFC, which is a great place. It's a tax-free regime, and it's under British laws, and it's a unique composition and a pure financial market. I'm really impressed with the functioning of the AFC, ADGM. They are really, really good. Yeah. So in terms of structure, of course, you need to define a structure. Then you need to build up governance. Governance, I already told you, you should have committees. You should have chief compliance and other officers and all that. And of course, you have to define your operations as a part of your business plan. Moving forward, let's talk about strategic planning. Strategic planning is really important. In the start of my discussion, I discussed that we should have our yearly plans. We should have 2-yearly plan, 5-yearly, 10 years plans. I mean, today, maybe the owner of McDonald's, maybe Microsoft, having his coffee or his juice, thinking about how people will think about these entities after 5 years. 5 years, they will be where? I mean, where the charity will be, where the business will be, what value they are going to deliver to the community. That's the most important things that anyone is really interested to know. So we need to make a proper strategic plan, and moving forward, this plan should have an implementation plan. So we need to define the scope and the purpose, that what are our long-term and short-term objectives, what would be the structure and design, how we source and build our family offices. Then, of course, we need to test and implement the systems, procedure, people, organization, policies, procedures before we go live. And then, of course, we will launch our family office, and then we start monitoring its performance according to our budgets and predictions that we predicted in advance. And of course, risk management is really, really important. So as I told you that risk and return, this world is confined in them, risk and return. Everything that we do is into risk and returns. And so what are the risk categories we have? We have legacy, we have operations, we have business risk, we have technological risk, we have investment risk, and we have disasters that can come and overlap our businesses. I mean, there are a lot of cases where there are cyber threats, there are operational threats to the entities. So of course, we need to cover in a holistic way with the different models. It's really, really important that we keep an eye on our preventive, detective, and directive controls are really, really important. That's why we build up ERM, Enterprise Resource Planning. We blended with COSO, Committee of Sponsoring Organization, and wherever country you follow the risk models. Risk is quite a huge term, and there are different theories and different ways to handle. Every nation look into a different way. And of course, but in terms of American standards, of course, ERM, COSO, and your controls are really, really important to follow. So if you looking to the destinations that people look into, so almost every destination has its own advantages. There are islands like Jersey, British Virgin Island, Cayman Islands. You know, there are islands, they are a little bit tax havens, and they have a bit of less compliance. I don't say that they are not in compliance, but maybe they are not as strict as maybe other markets are. So it depends like where you want to fit in yourself. London is a great destination for family offices. There are a lot of family offices in London. And because it's a huge capital market. So all this money, when you make a portfolio, of course, some you put in equity, some in public equity, private equity, some we give it to real assets. Real assets has huge variety, like we have commercial properties, residential properties, we have timberlands, we have farming land, we have mountains. There are a lot of real assets that we would prefer to invest as an alternative investments, because when the traditional investments get exhausted, then you have to find new ways. I mean, last 20 years before, I remember that the first five companies were oil-based companies, but now the richest companies are from technology, So the world is changing, system is changing. So in that case, London is a great destination. That is, I personally saw myself, and I always advise for making an office in London. And of course, Dubai is a great place. It's a financial market, and it's also huge market. And as I told you, like if you register yourself in DAFC and EGM, I mean, family offices with 10 million of dollars. If you have assets, you can open a family office, and you will get an access to the SME large and the largest entities of the world. They will be under one umbrella, the IFC, Dubai International Financial Center. And you have a lot of opportunities to network, exchange thoughts, views, contribute, suggest. I mean, it's a very, very great place. I mean, I see myself as a great destination of for the family offices. Yeah, so these are some important discussions, important points I would like to put in my talk today. Of course, we cannot confine it in such a limited time, but of course, if the life permits and things go smooth, I will keep sharing my thoughts in terms of the technicalities of the family offices. Before I close my discussion, I really want to tell a lot of people who approach me for the family offices. I mean, they want to project their views, their projects, their thoughts to the family offices. So you should know that every family office is not your customer or your because every office has its own investment patterns. For example, there is a family office who only invest in sports. So if you have a projects related to sports like football or maybe American football or cricket, for example, or Olympics, these are the family offices dedicated for the sports as a sector. So if you approach them, they know these sectors and they will be keenly interested in listening to you and giving you a right pitch, right response, and maybe your effort can be very, very successful. So it's actually knowing the region. The first thing that you should know the region, like UK, Europe, Switzerland, say UAE, Saudi Arabia, Oman, Bahrain, they have family offices. So if you look at them, you need to know that which family office is in healthcare, some are in construction, some are in real assets, some are in equity also, some are in Bitcoins as well. A lot of Bitcoin people approach me for Bitcoins, and not everyone is for Bitcoin. I mean, this is high risk, high return product. So we need to see that there is a aggressive investor who has a high risk appetite, who will be really important in terms of it suits to their nature. I remember that our parents they were in a belief that if they see something from their eyes, that's the investment. Means this land, that house, that property. If they can see from themselves, this is the investment for them. If you tell them that invest in derivatives and future markets and swappings, hedgings, they are not going to even listen you. They will say, okay, show me a swap, show me future and forward. Of course, these are financial instruments. They don't have physical existence. So this is also very important. I mean, money is in the family offices, of course. I mean, it's regular money, repeated money, new money keep coming, and old investments when they retire, then the liquidity comes, and they always think that how where to invest, what to do. So you need to know that which family office is in mining, which is in agriculture, which is in health sector, which is in bitcoins, which is in blockchain. And if you have that knowledge, believe me, I mean, you will be a very successful person in terms of bridging project with the investors. In any case, I can be any help for anyone. You can approach me anytime, and uh, I will do my best in order to assist you as much as I can. With this, I will conclude my talk of the day, and I'm looking forward to speak to you with any new topic very soon. Till then, take care of yourself. Goodbye.